Hey, Sav.
Hey, Shay, and bonjour, brand connoisseurs. Welcome to the Art of Branding podcast on the Team SCG podcast network. So, Shay, rate your day without any context.
8.
Wow, that's surprisingly high for you.
It's Monday morning.
It's Monday morning. It's a new day. It's a new week. We love to hear it.
You?
I want to match your energy, and I'll go with an 8.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very impressive.
Yeah. Just despite the torrential downpour on my way into the office today, but no, we are here. We are excited, and we are ready to address another elephant in the room.
What is it today?
So I would say it's a big part of working here at Team SCG, but being a part of the family business. And I think that this is a really unique conversation because you are, obviously in the family.
Me?
Yeah, you could say so. You could say so, and you can speak to it in a moment. And then I am not by blood part of the family, but have weaseled my way in pretty close to the family and have the pleasure of working so closely with the family business, the family dynamic, all the fixins. There's so much to be said about it because, I mean, this literally started as kind of a project like within your immediate family.
There's definitely a lot to cover. I think everybody has their own idea of what it actually looks like working inside of a family business. And I think that, we have a really unique and beautiful perspective on it because you get a lot of different personalities and you get a lot of what I call untouchables with a family business, right? Like the family members here, are always going to be something that's intimidating for the rest of the team, right? No matter what position they're in, no matter what department they're working in, it's an intimidating factor. So there's that part of it, but there's also the deepest level of care, right? And it's just the fact that like there is no hard boundaries when it comes to what we are not willing to do for not only our own family, but for our work family and for the members of our work family's family, right? So
Absolutely.
there's just this beautiful, delicate balance there of kind of, the good and the bad things that come with it. But there's many, many interesting perspectives. I think our family business is an extremely interesting one. And I'm excited to kind of peel it back a little.
Unpack it a bit. Yeah. So I think something that you mentioned there is like, you have your family and like, obviously it's impossible to have a family and then work with them and not bring your family dynamic into it. But with that comes an additional layer of empathy that you don't necessarily get in a typical corporate America setting that is so black and white. Like there's so much more nuance that comes into play while working here. And it's a beautiful thing because you're not just a number and you're not just like, a name on a roster while working here. There's so much more depth to it, especially as with like a longer tenure. Like, I mean, you guys know my husband, you guys have literally met my parents, and like you guys know about me and my family. And with that, I feel like I've become an extension of your family.
Yeah. I mean, that's the good part, right? And then there's the other side of the coin too, where you get to see a little bit of what's behind the curtain of my family's dynamics. And that's, it's a vulnerable place to be in, right? Because there's not one family on the planet that I think that gets along all the time. And I think most typical families in America have the separation between like, I go to work and then I come home and be with my family. That's not the life that I live. It's literally nonstop 24/7.
But yeah, no, for you all, it's you work Monday through Friday together. Very oftentimes you're having Friday dinner together after working Monday through Friday. And then oftentimes you guys are kind of spending some time together on the weekend too. So like that just goes to show though that like you guys really enjoy spending time together. It's not like, oh, I'm leaving the office today and I don't want to see these people. Like you guys spend a lot of voluntary time together, and that speaks to the strength of your family dynamic.
No, I think that's definitely spot on. Family culture is so important, and it was that way always growing up. So you mentioned Friday night dinner. Ever since I have memory, it was that my family gathers on Friday night, and it continued all through high school. Like no matter what the football game situation was on a Friday night, like you had dinner with your family on Friday night, and then you can go and do what you want to do. But it was just our ritualistic gathering together as a family, that will always just have, the ability to kind of turn off everything else that's going on, and just remember why we're doing everything. And it's because we love each other, and it's because we are a family. So that's something that was so deeply ingrained, growing up. And I think it's definitely way more challenging when you throw in the business dynamic, because it's like, no matter how frustrated you are or how terrible of a day you had at work that could or could not have something to do with a member of your family, it's like, you better not be the person who doesn't show up to Friday night dinner, because you just will never live it down. So
Well, and that's something that I deeply respect about you guys too, is, I mean,
you show up to dinner.
At this point, like, I have a very clear visual of kind of like what's going on, and like kind of like the roller coasters and the ups and downs, because there's a lot of personalities here and we love them all, and you guys will meet them. We're actually, I mean, after this, we'll probably start interviewing the family and bring them in, and you guys can meet the family. They're awesome. They're very colorful, and there's so much knowledge, and
so many personalities.
So, yeah, you'll see lots of personality. But, you guys kind of put your weapons down at the end of Friday, and you go to family dinner regardless of what happened that work week. And I mean, with what we do, the nature of what we do, it can be very, very stressful. And I think that it can be even more stressful because I actually read this book recently about, like, don't use your friends or family like in business, like use somebody that you don't have a previously established relationship with, because when you're working with somebody that you have like no pre-existing relationship with, you're able to act in your own self-interest in totality. And that's very predictable. That's very easy. Like, you have no pre-existing dynamic. That's not the case when you're working with your family.
No, right. Exactly. So, I think with us, it was always just keeping that root and make sure that we all had that same understanding of why we're all doing this. Because at the end of the day, if we don't show up for dinner, the business is not doing what it's supposed to do. Because as hard as it is, this is meant to bring us all together, and this is meant to benefit us as a family. So that's the mentality that is at the core my job to keep in mind at all times. And it's balancing the very real, like, different, buckets of the family's considered success and the business is considered success. And they both have to be harmoniously succeeding at the same time.
Absolutely. So I guess my question for you would be, as you proceeded to scale the business, with your family, and you're starting to bring more and more, we'll call them outsiders in, how is that like manifested for you all? Like, how, like, as you proceed to expand, what does that feel like to keep your family dynamic like at the forefront while, letting more and more people in?
It's a balance, right? I think it's great. First of all, it's challenged us all from a family level to evolve, right? So, I mean, when you continue to add more talent, more minds, more like literal firepower to the mix, you evolve. Like, you literally rise up as your group rises up. So, it's been wonderful on that front. It's been challenging to make sure that our dynamics stay in check. It's been challenging with our own personal growth as we try to figure out, whose lane is where, what we can each do to benefit the greater good. And I think that is going to be a challenge whether you're family or not. So I think it's probably a little extra spicy because we're family, but regardless, that's a business problem that's going to exist. So I think if we back it up, right, let's go back to, where this started. And we have my dad and my uncle who are at the forefront of the company. And I think at this point we knew it was going to be a family business. My grandma worked in the company. My grandfather worked in the company. As we continue through the years, my aunt joined, my mom joined. And then, we have a pretty good core, right, from a family perspective. And then we have Adam join the group. I'm going to end up missing people and people are going to get mad at me, but we're just going to have to roll through it.
They'll all be, all these characters will be introduced later. Yes, exactly.
Adam joining the group gave a real kind of jump start, and his story is not one that I will even go into at all because it's incredible. And, he did really give a pulse into the company, of some youth and some, different sales tactics that only Adam Kovic himself
could ever do.
accomplish.
Yeah.
So, but he's interesting because he's actually a member of my family that's not blood related, but joined my family when I was 8 years old through Big Brothers Big Sisters and David's absolute soul heart project that he's a part of. And he's been an intricate member of our family and our business's success throughout the years. So when it comes to after that, when my brother and I decided to join, that's when things, I think, got a little bit more complicated, right? Because everybody had settled in terms of, the business norms, how things were going to be, how it was going to work, what was going to happen. And then Josh and I come in and we're like, we're going to shake this up. Like, let's kind of.
And that you did.
Yeah. Let's just, move everything around from there. And with that, our husbands joined, and that was a lot more family. So at this point we have a ton of it. I think 8 or 9 people or family members. And then my cousin joined after that. And then we have cousins that come from internships and, different family members that no matter where we look, we can try and find and bring into the business. So it really did become, I think, what my dad and uncle intended in the terms of like a family business, a home for our family, and a place that everyone can have, add value in different ways.
And I think that everybody in your family is so different. And I think that everybody we'll call it like a symphony. Everybody plays their own instrument. And
now we figured that out now.
Well, no, exactly.
We did have a problem when multiple people were playing the same instrument.
No, for sure. But like at this point, like with where we're at, especially, bringing on like the consultants and, really ironing out people's lanes, like a lot of people have their own lane in which they play in. And like they all play it really well because you guys have been doing this for so long. I mean, even if like, let's say, somebody joined later, they started out doing this very, very young. Like whether it was like, oh, hey, like we're doing a delivery and we need somebody. And you guys just have that attitude of like, we're not only a family, but also a team.
Exactly. And I think that starts with my dad and my uncle's mentality. And, my dad's always been a great people motivator and a great people leader. And I was so blessed to be able to learn from him in my journey. And the other piece that was actually really positive is my dad and my uncle are very opposite people. So
very opposite people. This isn't just like, oh yeah, like, two brothers, they're different. Very different. Opposite people.
But what that gave them was very distinct lanes, right? So like my uncle was always going to be the numbers, the finance guy. He was going to keep us in business when it comes to making sure there's money in the bank and we could pay our bills. And my dad was always going to be the guy that was motivating our team. He's like the maitre d' of our business. He literally just wants to say hello to everybody. What can he get anybody? He was in charge of all of our sales and building those relationships.
You can't go out with Barry Greenberger
and not run into
someone that he knows. And like, and even if he doesn't know them, the man makes friends like that.
No, he was born for it. And it really showed. Like David is an introvert naturally, and my dad is an extrovert. So they were able to complement each other on that side. He was always the guy that was going to make the speeches. He's the guy that's going to,
Dave. Yeah, Dave's not down for a speech.
His speech is ditto.
Yeah,
me too. But it worked. It worked really well on that front. So that was kind of where I knew right away, like if I'm looking at my two paths when I come in, numbers was not going to be it for me. It's just too redundant. I need some variety in my life. And I really feel like I was naturally inclined to be able to do some of the things that my dad did and to learn from him and then be able to build off of it from there. So it worked out really well on that front. But my dad's journey, which I think we're going to bring him on pretty soon, is a really interesting one because he had to battle this change and to watch something that he's built over the last, at this point, 25 years be challenged and changed and watch it evolve and still, have your place in it, still be a part of it and still be that cheerleader. That was a really inspiring thing for me to watch because the concept of change, and I've seen so many other family businesses crumble at that exact point when it's time for generation one to let generation two's ideas come in and make that impact. That's typically where the boiling point is. And because I believe in my heart of hearts, because we have so much love for each other as a family, like at our core, we were not going to let that piece happen. And my dad, more than that, my dad is my biggest fan. He is my
He is,
literal cheerleader.
it is
So
adorable to see how much your dad not only loves you like as like a father loves his daughter, but like respects you.
he, and he still challenges me too,
Of
though. That's the thing.
course.
Like he
Of
is
course.
always having me
We just got
think.
out of a meeting where he challenged you.
Yeah, he's always the one. Like if I'm going to battle, like I'm gearing up. Like I know it's such a balance, right? Because I know he always has my back, but at the other,
It's not blind trust by
no,
any
right. But
means.
on the other side, I know that when everybody leaves the room and the door is closed, he's gonna be like, "What the hell were you thinking? Like explain it to me right now." So it's one of those things that I think it had to be a perfect storm, right? We had to have that like unwavering adoration for our family and our family values, that no matter what happens on Friday night, we're coming together and we are who we are at our core. Plus, we had to have the ability to withstand and go through all the changes as a family, because as everyone knows, there's been our moments. There's
Of
no
course.
shortage of like, drama, will you
Reality
say.
TV material.
But when you break it down and you peel it back to its absolute core, I think it's pure love. And it's not just love for our family, it's love for all of the people that are now part of our SCG family.
Absolutely.
So that's like the recap on the inside the family chair. I want to hear what it's like from your chair, like on the outside, because it's like crazy to me, right? Like I know the chaos of what actually exists. Everyone says like we drink the Kool-Aid, and it's just a fun place from my end, but like whatever. I definitely want to hear your side of this.
No, so for me, it's funny because I mean, at this point, I think that I have a unique chair in the sense of I'm not blood. I haven't taken a blood oath, but like all but, at this point, like I have such deep respect for every member of your family that's here. Like I genuinely feel as though I mean, literally it's like, oh, I have a headache. Like, let me go to Taylor. Oh, I need Mission Impossible done. Like, let me call Adam. Oh, like I have a question about like this huge life decision I'm about to make. Like whatever, like who would know something about this? David, he's going to be the most like logical guy.
You're going to buy a house. What needs to happen?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like what, like, how does this work? Whatever. Like, and I mean, I have a great relationship with everybody. Literally, I used to pack boxes with your mother, you know? So I not only know them from like working with them, but I know them as humans. And I think that they're all just such amazing people. And like at this point, I feel like I've chosen to become part of your family because I love them, I respect them. And at the end of the day, no matter how crazy it gets, you guys always figure it out. Like you're not like, it's funny because I think maybe like the first time I saw it, like maybe a blowout or whatever, it was like, oh wow, like that was pretty like wow, that was kind of
crazy.
That was kind of a lot. But like, I mean, it just, you guys moved past it. It's not something.
I think that's what everyone is so weirded out by, is like we could go at each other and then you guys see me and my brother like having lunch together the next day.
No, you guys will literally like you'll be having dinner together that night or whatever, or you're at like an event or something that night.
We almost have no choice but to just get over ourselves, right? It's like, I have to eat. Like I'm not gonna be the person who goes to dinner and has nothing to eat. And most times my brother and my brother-in-law are the ones who are providing the food.
And let me tell you, Josh and Justin are the hosts with the most.
So sometimes I have to just swallow it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm mad as hell, but I'm hungry.
Yeah,
so
no,
I'm
exactly. But it's just one of those things that like you see how like you said, there's so much love there, and the fact that you guys genuinely intentionally choose to like get over yourselves and get what needs to be done for the business done. It's really, really inspiring, and it's something that like people buy into, because it's like you guys obviously care about yourselves, your family, but you show that amount of care also to your employees.
Yeah. And then it doesn't just stop at the family.
Yeah, exactly. So
is it isolating from your chair?
I wouldn't say it's isolating. The thing is like there's so much more nuance to consider with it that like sometimes it's not just like black and white decisions that like if you're making like a true like like logical decision. There's more to consider with it. And like, for me, I don't consider it so isolating anymore, because I realize like and we've talked about this before, like it's not about me, it's not about me, or
It's
like
about the
even
health of the company, yeah.
exactly, or like there's just more to consider. And um you know, more and more, especially as I've been on this journey, the more like you all have opened up to me and
Yeah.
give me even more of a visual as to like what's happening behind the scenes or whatever. And like, then that makes so much more sense. It's like, okay, cool, like whatever. But I think that comes with like building trust between the two parties.
So if we go one layer deeper, let's talk spouses, because that was a big catalyst shift. That was a big catalyst shift for the company. So we have in the company, we have my husband, Brian, and my brother's husband, Justin, and both of them are big players. They're not, just entry level in the company. They both have really big roles in our sales realm. And we, and mostly everybody in the company, has to work really closely with them. So not even just spouses, but almost anyone. Like, how is that experience with you when you have something that, like, most of the time it's really positive, but like, let's say anyone in my family, there's something that is awkward. We know that there's been 100 times that there's some awkward things with one of us or another. So
Well,
how does that work?
to be fair, for me, like there are some pills that I swallow because I'm
You have
like,
no
well,
choice.
exactly. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna swallow, like I'm gonna take this because, or like walk her,
Knocked it.
or like I'm just gonna swallow this, like, or I extend a little more grace to like a family member or a family dynamic that I I
Because it's,
wouldn't
I guess it's
necessarily.
more complicated than anyone would assume.
Yeah,
It's never just black and white.
and it's just not, it's not black and white. And like, whereas I could choose to be like annoyed by it and be like, oh my gosh, like that's just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, like maybe my internal dialogue says that, but like it's also one of those things where it's like I recognize how much value I get on the other end as well, of like grace has been extended to me when like when
Yeah.
it wouldn't necessarily be in another circumstance. So I think that it's a very like give and take situation, and you just have to like be open mind, open heart, and just recognize that like it's a very unique dynamic to play, and it's a fine line because like I don't want to have to tell like you that like, hey, like something's happening, or whatever, I feel this way, like only as like an absolute last resort. But
I think the spouse conversation is such an interesting one, though, because imagine like you're already in this bed, right, where you have so much family all around you, and then your husband decides to join the chaos, right? And now you have both. You have both sides of it. But for me, and in the crazy world that I live in, like, it was what was best for us as a family and for our relationship. Like, we have this ability to figure that side of it out. But it
well,
was
I just
definitely an
can't
interesting one.
imagine Justin or Brian being at like a Friday dinner and not being able to contribute to the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, because what would that be?
I know.
You know?
It's a mix, right? It's beautiful and interesting and chaotic and all of the things. But I'm excited for everyone to kind of really get to know each member of the family, because we really do, I think, individually add our own little bit of spice to the mix.
Absolutely.
In the best and worst way, right? Like, we all have our really good strengths and our weaknesses, but I feel like at this point in the company, we have a team that we're all very well balanced out.
Mhm.
And there's way more non-family than family at this point. So
Yeah.
we've been outnumbered.
Exactly.
That wasn't always true.
No, I know. And I think but I feel like we're in like a microcosm in office because there's more family, or it's very concentrated family in office. And
And it goes deeper, right? It's like, if you're not family, you're a family friend. If you're not a family friend, you've been referred. Like, there's very...
it doesn't end. It doesn't just end at family, not family.
Where we'll leave it is, though, is like birds of a feather flock together. We're a good group of people
Absolutely.
at our core. And I think that that's what we attract when it comes to who joins our team. So
Yeah.
it's a wild ride, an exciting ride, and it keeps things interesting. We're going to get my father on here very soon for you all to get to unpack his journey.
Yes. And we'll start introducing all of the amazing things of Barry Greenberger. And then we'll start bringing on the other characters
from there.
Yes.
But until next time.
Until next time. Well, au revoir, brand connoisseurs. If you liked this, like, follow, subscribe, all the fixins, all the things, and we will see you soon. Have a fabulous day.
Bye.